Welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited for today's conversation. Our next guest is an amazing person because she delivers her workshops in two languages, which is just crazy to even think about the amount of work that goes into that. She has been running her business for years now, teaching people how to manage their finances. And I love that one of her missions is to empower people so that they can do it for themselves. Because as you know, that's also my mission for people to just gain that confidence, which is really fantastic. She is a financial educator, financial advisor, and she talks about loads of different topics. But yes, I'm so excited to have you here. Hi, Leticia.
Hello, Arlyne. Thank you so much for having me. I love this kind of conversations because we can bring up so many things that interests both your audience and my audience. So thank you for having me.
I'm excited. I'm excited. And like, there's so much that I said that we can get into in terms of talking through different subjects. But just so people can get to know you a little bit more, I know you moved from Brazil to the UK a few years ago. Well, say a few years ago, nearly a decade now. But
Oh,
do you
two
mind?
decades.
2 decades. That's very true.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you mind kind of letting us know a little bit about your background, especially because you're not someone who's been in the finance field forever, but you kind of happened to start teaching the subject. Could you let us know about how you got into financial education?
Sure. Thank you so much. So I started my career as a teacher. So I have a degree in language and literature. So I did that in Brazil. And then when I came to the UK almost 20 years ago, was back in 2005, I could barely say hi or bye. And then I started as most people do, I started studying, going to school every day, learning the language, and I started as a waitress. And then as I learned the language, I could do more, I would say, complicated jobs in terms of language skills. And then I started working in customer service for British Telecom. And then
Mm.
from there, I evolved to sales. I worked in sales as an account manager for almost 5 years. And then I migrated to marketing. I did a Chartered Institute of Marketing training, and then I became a marketing manager. I worked in marketing for almost 10 years. And then I say that financial education found me. And then I started studying to be a financial educator in 2019. And here I am, almost 6 years later. But it wasn't like a smooth ride because obviously I was working full time. But I feel that, having a background in teaching, then working in sales, customer service, and marketing, put everything together. I could put everything together once I became a financial educator because I needed all these skills. And
Yeah.
here I am, almost 6 years later.
I love that. It's almost like your journey was helping you gain all the skills that you then need
And
now. Yes, and I love the work that you do with Master Your Finances. And where do you teach, so to speak? Where do you host the workshops that you do?
okay, so I would say 99.9% outline. When I created my business in the first year, I was focusing heavily on studying. So I used to see clients on a one-to-one basis. But then
Mm.
in 2020, when COVID hit, then we had no choice but to host events online. And that's how I carried on. And also because I really like my geographic freedom. And then, I much prefer being able to be anywhere around the world and host workshops everywhere. And that's what I do these days. I host workshops with people all over the world, and it doesn't matter where I am.
In two different languages, that is. It just depends on who your audience is,
Oh,
which
the
I
only
honestly,
And it's going to come a third language now, very soon.
okay, which language do you mind me asking?
Then it's going to be Spanish.
Okay,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, okay, so your Spanish audience have something to look forward to, which
Yeah.
is great.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's really
So
good. So is there anything that happened in terms of like earlier on in your days? I did read a little bit about what empowered you, especially when you were
um,
moving countries around financial literacy, and then why would you want to then pass that knowledge on? Is there anything personally that happened for you that led you to
yeah.
that?
I know you know things, Ali. So um obviously, when I came to the UK and ended up extending my visa for me to study a little longer, I met my first husband and we got married and we were together for 5 or 6 years. But then obviously our relationship didn't work out and we had to break up. And at that stage, I went through a very, I would say, the biggest challenge that I had to face in my life because at the end of my marriage, I was also going through a career crisis. And that's exactly when I started to move towards marketing. And so I was having a career crisis. My personal relationships, weren't working out. And then we ended up breaking up, but it was so challenging. I ended up with depression, a very severe depression at that time. And I had to, in a way, find myself again. And then I started in a journey of discovering, self-discovering and self-knowledge and self-awareness. And I say that, I went so deep into myself that I started to find my superpowers and come across my superpowers, and money was one of them. A lot of people used to ask me, how do I do this about money? How do I do that? You always have money. I don't know how you always have money. And I come from a very down to earth background. My mom was a teacher. My dad was a salesperson. So I didn't, come from a wealthy or privileged background, and everything that I do and have was, built by myself. And then when I started discovering these superpowers, I thought, what can I do with it? Um, what can I pass on to the world? What legacy can I leave? And because of the challenges of the end of my marriage, I decided that at that time I was going to empower other women not have to go through what I had to go through at the end of my marriage, going through financial challenges and having to start all over again and not knowing if I would be able to do it by myself.
Yes, yes, it's not something that you would have foreseen, right? It's not something that you can plan for because it's
Yes.
something that happened to you and then you had to react, you had to find yourself. And
Yeah.
that is really just hearing the story is inspirational because you hear of so many other people where it just broke them and that was it.
Yeah.
But then you then giving back and teaching other women and empowering them as well to think of if this was to happen to them, how can they pick
Yeah.
themselves back up? Because divorces actually affect women a lot more in terms of resulting in having less income, resulting in
Yes.
having less disposable kind of income that you can spend on living, really. So that is great
Yeah.
in terms of the work that you do.
That's right. And also, a lot of women, if they are brave enough to admit, they dream about marrying a rich man, right? And at that point, I decided that I was going to be my own rich husband. So I
Yeah.
didn't need to marry somebody to be able to, not that my ex-husband was rich anyway, but, that I didn't need to marry somebody rich to be able to make it. And then I decided to be my own rich husband.
Yes. You can look after yourself forever as
That's
well.
right.
So why do you think women still find it challenging to deal with their own personal finances?
I think there are a few reasons.
Mm,
One is because a lot of them still hope that they're going to not have to deal with money and
mm,
they can outsource it to their partner. Also, because women have much less confidence when it comes to money. I see this a lot. And also because most of them still believe that for them to be able to deal well with money, they have to be a numbers savvy, you know, be an expert in numbers. And this is not true. I studied languages and I deal with money very well. Thank you very much. And I even tell my clients that I don't know how to count properly. I don't know how to, calculate things properly. And I say, that's why I'm not an accountant. I don't need to be able, I don't need to count. I need, I have compound calculators. I use calculators because I am
Yeah.
terrible with numbers. And I know it's shocking to hear, but I've heard an accountant saying that they were bad with numbers. And I go, I don't have to be good at it. It's for me, money is mostly about behavior, not about being able to count and do calculations.
Yes, I'm an accountant, and I can definitely second what you're saying because we have Excel do everything for us and calculators and so on. So you're completely right. It's all about the actual mindset, though. It's all about having the confidence to go away and then use calculators, as you said, use Excel or get in touch with someone that can actually then calculate it for you. But you have
Yeah,
to be proactive. And you're right in terms of the confidence piece, because I was reading that a third of people, but actually I think it's a higher percentage of women do not have confidence in managing their finances. But we all have to deal with finances. So yeah,
exactly.
it's telling in terms of the mindset that the mindset shift that you have to give yourself, whether you're a woman or a man. So, is there something that you tell these women to kind of give them that boost to change their mindset?
I think there's a lot about our upbringing. I now heard the other
Mm,
day that we form our idea about money by the age of 7. So
mm,
we need to be very aware of ourselves. That's one of the things. It's like what kind of things that you learned from people with authority during your upbringing, your mom or your dad or anybody around you that had authority that you respected, and take a look at these things that you learned from that person and
mm,
consciously deciding if this serves you or not. As an example, I always say to people, and my mom is a money hoarder. She just saves money.
oh,
She doesn't know why, but she just saves. My dad was very disorganized, bless him. He was very disorganized. He earned a lot of money, but he was very disorganized. And my mom, as a part-time teacher, could do more with her money than my dad could. And
mhm,
so I look at those and I went, thank you, Mom, for teaching me to save money. And I learned those skills and they served
mm,
me. Thank you, Dad, for doing the best that you could. But I decide my own path. And now that I learned how to save, I want to go even further. I want to go into investment and put my money to work for me. So I think it's a combination of things. It's a bit of mindset and understanding what you learn and what is and is not serving, and also
yeah.
acquiring knowledge for you to go further than your family ever could. So I think it's
Mm.
a combination of both.
I love that. And I think that's the definition of generational wealth, because we talk about generational wealth like it's like your parents giving you money and then you pass that money down. I think it's more the wealth of knowledge. So the wealth of knowledge that you received from your mom in terms of what to do, when to save, and then the wealth of knowledge that you did get from your dad in terms of what not to do when you
Yes,
earn a lot of money. So you did learn from both of them. And I feel like
I did.
that is the wealth you're learning from your parents. But you sat down and you thought of that. Not a lot
Yeah.
of us sit down and do that work.
Yes, that is true. And I see this a lot with clients, and I see this with my husband, with my friends. Once you become aware, you start seeing this, and you can make a conscious decision about what is serving and is not serving you.
Yes, brilliant. Oh, thank you very much. And in terms of the common problems that you do hear from the women that you work with at the moment and how you help them out with those problems, can you point
Yeah.
out a few?
Yeah, so one of the biggest ones that I say is that I hear a lot is people wanting to invest. but
Mm,
they don't think about what stage of their financial journey they find themselves in. And some people think, I have money problems, and for me to solve my money problems, I need to invest. And what they actually need to understand is where I am and what's the next step that I can take, as opposed to what's the step that I want to take that I think is going to solve my problems. Being,
yes.
am I at the savings point of my life because I have no money, I can't save, I spend more than I earn, I use credit, or am I already good at saving? I'm a regular saver, I'm a disciplined, I don't spend more than I earn, and therefore I'm ready to invest. I think it's kind of like a self-awareness um, biggest problem that I find. And also because some people see financial educators, I don't know if you have that experience, but I certainly
Yeah.
do. People think that we can do magic. I like how, I want to invest. How much do you want to invest? £100. And when can I take a salary from this £100? And I go,
Yeah.
if you can't live with £100, how do you expect £100 to pay your salary?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like being more aware of, being a little more mature. I'd say, looking at money this way is quite childish. It's like you don't know the
Mm,
basics of money. You don't understand that for money to grow, no, money needs money to grow. And
mm,
if you can't save money, then you need to learn how to save. And then you can move on into the next stage, which is investing. And I think it's about that. But another common problem that I see, especially with women around the 40s that I've been working with, mostly, I don't think people are aware of the critical uh, thing that we need to deal with in our lives right now, which is retirement.
mm,
People are massively under saving for retirement, because we still have this idea that our parents retired with their final salary, but we aren't. And we have yet to see a generation that is going to go through this hurdle and has to do
mm.
something because we're living more, but we're saving less. So how does that work? I say to people, we are all going to live longer. Yay. But can we actually afford living longer? That's the
Yeah.
question.
Oh, and I think it's probably because it's a scary thought. We don't, when you look at maybe your grandparents or now my parents are at retirement age, and I think there's something in the brain that makes you think that you're not going to get there. But thinking about my mom, actually, we moved to the UK from Zimbabwe at she was my age, and just thinking
Mhm.
about how much she did. So I will get to the retirement age sooner or later, and you're completely right, thinking about that retirement plan and what that looks like. I think probably people don't can't envision like how
No.
much am I going to actually need. So yeah, I'm glad that you're bringing that up and you're shedding a light, because, and again, women are, in terms of statistics, we have way less than
Yes.
men do at retirement age, simply
Mm.
because, we're the ones having babies, or we're taking time out for XYZ. And in the end, we're the ones that have less at retirement age. Therefore, you need an extra pot on the side. So what does
That's
that
really
look like?
longer.
Yeah, and yeah, and we live exactly. So we really need to prioritize this.
Exactly.
So
Sorry, I
what does that
interrupted.
look like? No, no, it's a good point. What does that look like then? So, for example, because it's a problem and you've noticed it, and it's something that we need to think about. What, for example, you're speaking to me, what do I need to go away and do to think about my retirement plan?
A very simple thing that I can recommend people to do is to look at their bank accounts today and have picture in your
Mhm,
expenses and things that you're spending money on. Is this going towards building the life that you want, or it's
mhm,
going towards killing fires? It's going towards the present alone. How much of your money, the money that you make today, is going towards building a future and living in presence? And it's creating that balance. So, for example, is your money going to, I don't know, paying for studies or for your personal development? And, improving your mental health and paying for good food for yourself and exercise and investments and savings and entertainment and all this, as opposed to, I'm just focusing on the present because I don't know if I'm going to be here in the future. That's one exercise. The other one is I started to do this recently, and it's crazy. I know it might sound crazy, but, thinking that I might potentially not retire ever, and I'm in my 40s, thinking, how can I bring retirement to the present? What
Oh,
does
yeah.
retirement look like to me? And, start living elements or bringing elements of this to your life. As an example, if I think of my life as a retired person, I want to be able to work from anywhere, to be anywhere. And so what I tend to do, I take 3 months away from the UK every year to be somewhere different, to try new cultures, to take some time off between work. As you know, I'm doing
Yeah.
this very soon.
Yeah.
And
Take me
so
with you.
exactly. So I work and I enjoy my time at the same time. And obviously, I can't move away from the UK permanently right now because I want to make sure I use my ISAs and my pension. But then soon I'll be able to, then I'm going to be able to have, be a part-time retired person somewhere else.
I like that. Like, bring it forward. Start thinking,
Yes,
what does retirement actually look like? And I like that you're already living it. Therefore, you know the finances attached to that. How much
yes,
does that cost you? So it's not a faraway dream anymore.
yeah, yeah. Also because I feel that some people feel really lost because they feel that when I retire, I need to stop working altogether. And for most of us, this generation that might not be able to retire, it's not going to be like that. We'll have to continue doing some sort of work unless you have a big pot waiting for you in retirement. But some of us will have to carry on working. And then, but how do we bring some enjoyment into our lives now? And also, we don't need to wait until we're 67 to be able to enjoy life, right?
Completely true, completely true. But the biggest point is, well, if you want to maintain your lifestyle, though, is think about the pot that you need, as you said. So you need to
Yeah.
think about it as early as possible. It's not something to start in your 50s. You're already talking
No.
about it with your clients in their 40s, and really they need to start as soon as they're of working age. Otherwise, you could be working forever, which is a very real possibility.
Yes. Yes. I
Mhm.
know. I have some clients in their late 50s that they're not going to be able to stop working for sure.
Yes. Oh, well, that's why we are doing the work that we are. And I
Yeah.
love your theory. I'm actually just going to take a leaf out of your book. Hopefully from 2025, I could be taking a month out every year just to recover from all the work that is done. So keep me honest when it comes to
Yes. And
2025.
it's not easy. It's not cheap,
Yeah.
but obviously I'm
Mhm.
priority in my life. We need to leave our property because we rent our property, so we need to find storage and keep all our valuables there. So it's a
Mhm.
project in our lives,
Mhm.
and this is the second time we're doing this year. So it's not easy. It costs a lot of money because we're going to go to another country, going to rent a house. It's short-term rental, so it's going to be more expensive than I pay for my mortgage, but it's my life choice,
Yes.
you know.
And you've planned around it and you've
Yes.
worked for it. Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. Are there any other basics that you could share for people to just think about when they're starting out in terms of managing their finances?
Yes, actually, there's something that is very simple and nobody needs any fancy spreadsheet or any apps or anything like that. So get yourself a piece of paper and write in two columns. The first column is going to have everything that is essential to you, everything that keeps you alive and breathing. So you go in one column. And the other column, then you go and put everything that is outside of what keeps you alive and functioning. So in essence, you're going to list your essentials and your non-essentials. After that, what you can do is to go through every single item of that list and then see what you can cut, what you can reduce, and what you can um, replace. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, your mortgage, right? You can't cut your mortgage and you can't replace because you need a place to live. But obviously, you might be paying rent or mortgage, and it might be taking too much of your budget. Then obviously it needs to be revisited. But it's a very simple thing. And then after that, you can see if your money is actually going to where you want it to go. Is your money doing what you want it to do for you? And that's a very simple thing. And you don't need to be an expert with numbers. You don't need to, be a physician or mathematician to be able to do this. You can do it yourself today.
Yes. No, I love that. And in terms of like thinking of the different lists, I like that you thought you sectioned it in terms of what are the specifics. And I feel like maybe people can start off from there, like the things that are variable, so to speak. So anything that is flexible, like food, could be something that they can look into, like what can you reduce and what can you cut, the easier one. But I love
That's
that
right.
also looking at kind of the fixed ones, like your mortgage. There's ways of thinking of utilizing interest rates, looking for the
That's
best
right.
deals as well.
Yeah. A lot of people sometimes are struggling and they don't know the source of their
Mhm.
struggles. Just to give you an example quickly, I had a client that she was in debt and she said, I never see my salary. I don't know where my salary goes. And then when we looked at it, 80% of her salary were going to pay school tuition to her children. And then I
Wow.
said, it's not a problem. But as long as you have other sources of income and you have a partner that is supporting you and you're happy that your money is going to this place, as long as you're aware and you understand what's going on, it's fine. But sometimes people are struggling and they don't know why.
Hmm. Yes. Oh, wow. 80% is quite a lot, and you're
Yeah,
completely
I
right. How
know.
do you know it's 80% unless if you've written it down and now you understand, okay, what exactly am I spending my money on?
Yeah,
So that's a great first place to start.
yeah. She actually ended up removing the smaller kid from a private school, just to give her some, room to breathe. So it was all about planning and understanding and making aware of where your money's going, if it's going to where you want it to go. That's all.
Mhm. Great point. So I'm glad that you managed to like get that and coach her through that as well. It's not about looking at it and say, why are you spending your money on this? It's more like, okay, what can we do? What are the practical next steps for you to be able to
Yeah.
free yourself and see more money essentially left in your bank account?
You just reminded me of something that I should have mentioned as well. You said practical, and it reminded me of the word priorities.
Yeah.
When you make this list and you have, these two separate columns, obviously you can pick out three things that are non-negotiable to you. Like, what are the things that you would not let go that are really important? They give you a sense of purpose. They keep you happy, and they are, really keeps you going. And you get up in the morning and you think of these things. So, what are these three things that you are negotiable that you would
Mhm.
want to keep in your budget? So think about these three things. And obviously, you can cut some others to accommodate them. Budget is not it's not rocket science, is it? Every budget will be
Yeah.
different. So what is my priority might not be yours, but you need to understand what yours are.
Yeah, I love it. Just like yours is having that time off,
Yes,
once in a year. So then you accommodate that. A budget is not a bad thing. It's more like a planning tool. And I like
that's
that.
right. Yes, yes.
Oh, so in terms of kind of everything that we've discussed, there's a sense of people thinking about their relationship with money and how can you advise people to look at their relationship with money and maybe improve it?
Okay. So I always say that it's all about personal awareness and self-awareness and
Mhm.
understanding what have you done up until now, and who did you learn it from, that, this relationship that you have with money, and if this is serving you right now. For example, I always say that, my poor dad is very disorganized, and my mom was a money hoarder. She's still a money hoarder. And, I obviously understood that these two behaviors were not potentially going to serve me. And then I decided to take my own path. And then I learned from my dad what not to do with money. And I learned from my mom that, yes, I can save, but how do I go further? Then I started investing and putting this money to work for me. So it all goes back to looking back inside. A lot of people try to look at answers outside, and a lot of answers are insiders. And I would say just look back at the decisions that you have made and your ideas about money. Are they serving you? What have you learned from these experiences and these decisions that you have made so far? And then just consciously decide what you want to do going forward to make it better, to create the life that you want. Sometimes it might be hard to think about and also to come with the truth. Why am I not having the life that I want? Why isn't my money working for me? And be honest with yourself. I think there's so much resources out there. There's amazing financial educators like us, that can
Mhm.
help people a lot understand and make them aware of their own personal finances profile and story.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that. So first you need to identify what is your relationship with, what are your triggers, as well as you said, by looking within. And that can be hard. So having the
Yes.
support, I've seen reviews on your website where people feel like when they've had your support, you're talking through their problems, and then they're leaving feeling like, oh, okay, now I understand why I do like maybe compulsive buying, or any sort of emotional. There could be compulsive hoarding as well, when it's
Yes.
the money sitting somewhere where it's not even growing. So there's different attitudes to money that maybe but some people that are listening can benefit from having someone who's experienced like yourself, and then support them to identify this.
That's right. Exactly
Mm.
right. Thank you.
Uh, And in terms of like the strategies that you would recommend for creating and maintaining a realistic budget, that word that no one likes, but are there any strategies that could we've identified during this call that we definitely need budgets? We need to understand how we're spending our money. What kind of strategy can you recommend for especially
Yeah.
someone who's never prepared a budget to do?
Yeah. It's a very good question. And a lot of people like looking back at the past and see where they spent money. I'm all about looking forward. Before you get paid,
Um,
how do you consciously want to spend that money? Obviously, we need to go through the things that we need to spend money on to start with. And some people sometimes get this confused. They go, what do I want to spend my money with? I want to buy some shoes. I want to buy a new phone. I want to go on holiday. But I think that it's all about understanding what you need first. And then if there's some money left, then you can play with your desires, your wants, and, decide how you want to spend your money then. But, first of all, it's planning before you get paid, before you spend the money, and then covering your essentials and your needs first, and then deciding what you're going to do with the rest. For me, it's all about this. And having a goal in mind that, makes you happy about getting up and going to work in the morning, and living and breathing this goal every single day, and keeping your focus on this goal and your eye on the ball, that will keep you motivated to carry on and obviously reach even further.
Mhm. Yes, I find that in terms of your last point and having a goal, that's really what's been helping me get to the gym. And it's the same thing in terms of looking at your finances. If you have that goal, then you will be willing to get up and do what you need to do, or cut
Yes.
whatever you need to cut as well. But I think both your points in terms of the lists that you can write down the two lists where you have your essentials and then your wants. That kind of works with them using that same list for then your budget, which is quite perfect. So,
Exactly. You know, I say to
mhm.
clients that most people don't get what they want in life because they don't know what they want.
Yes,
You know, if you think
that
about it,
point.
you know,
Hmm.
I say, what do you want? You know, and then, if I ask my clients to write a list of dreams, they get, to the third and then they get stuck, you know, but it's really think, what do I really want?
Yeah. And it's great that also this is coming out towards the end of the year. So it's a great time to now start thinking about the next year, 2025. What do you want out of it? Because then it links, right? It's always a great time to just start reviewing what happened this year. What did I achieve? Okay, what didn't I achieve? Therefore, I can move that into 2025. But
Yeah,
it's a great question to ask yourself and be really honest about what are my goals.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's been a really great conversation, and you've given us so many great nuggets in terms of ways that people can practically start looking at their finances, start changing their relationship with money as well. So thank you very much. And is
You're
there
most
anything
welcome.
else? Is there
Let
anything
me
else
think.
that you would like to share?
Um, let me think. Oh, yes, I remember now. I'd say like the greatest asset of money has nothing is not related to, actually, it is related to numbers, but not as
Mhm.
we see. It's all about time. The
Mhm.
sooner you start taking care of your money, the sooner you start saving, the more time you have.
Yes, I love that. There's the best time for you to look at your finances literally is today rather than waiting for the future. So that's a really, really wise saying. And I think that's going to be the name of this episode. It's really perfect. It's more your time. And it's linked to other ways that you value wealth, right? It's not just about the number that's in your bank account. It's everything else that you're spending your time on. That's the true value of wealth. So that was really wise. Thank you for sharing. Oh, it's been really great. We're definitely going to share the website Master Your Finances, your Instagram and your YouTube, everywhere else that people can find you. And I know you also support corporates in terms of going into businesses and then supporting them with their financial well-being initiatives. And I just wanted to also share that we're going to be partnering up in the future, Roots to Fruits as well. So I'm looking forward for more people to see your face in everything that we're working on. And yeah, so I'm really excited for the future. Brilliant. Bye.
That is all for us today, guys. Join us next week for some more seeds to sow. And please remember to support us by following and leave a rating on our show on whichever platform you're listening to us from. To those watching on YouTube, please leave a like and a subscribe to our channel. All of your support goes a long way. Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, keep shining.